Hi everyone, it's Imogen and welcome back to Colouring Kid. I hope you're all doing well. Today's video is one which I'm very excited for and I've been waiting to do for quite a while now. It's my flip through of I Believe in Fairies by Klara Markova, 50% completed. So this is a postcard set that came out almost 2 years ago now from Klara in 2020. I think it was the autumn of 2020, and I have completed 16 out of the 32 postcards, and I'm really happy that I have, because originally when I got the book and the postcards from Klara that she very kindly sent to me, I thought obviously colouring in books I gravitate towards that, but actually I have absolutely loved the postcards, and this has shown me how much I really do like colouring the postcards, and now I really like colouring postcards from other artists as well. I think it's just the fact that they were on lovely card, they are smaller images, so they're easier for me to complete, and also the way I store them, I really like how they look in this storage. So this folder, if I remember, I'll put it down in the description for you. I get asked about it quite a lot and it's quite hard to find if you don't know exactly what it's called. So it's a 5x7 art portfolio that fits my postcards in perfectly. So this is a gorgeous packaging. I just felt like to keep the cards safer I would put them in this folder. So you can currently buy these on Klara's Etsy. I'm not sure with her new book coming out this autumn if she's planning on bringing out any more postcards. I don't think so, but in the pack you get a coloured in postcard with some information on the back, and then I think with book orders you get a extra postcard. I'm not sure, but that was in there from when I did my review, so I thought I would keep that in there. I love the packaging and I will definitely always keep this. It's just once I've coloured the cards I want to make sure that they stay safe. So yeah, as I said, this is my folder. I also get asked quite a lot about how I put the colouring on the side. So this was really easy to do. I just photocopied a bit of one of Klara's pages that I coloured in from Fairy Celebrations and decided to add it in, and I just folded it out, measured it, and put it in. So I can slide this out if I want to and change it. But yeah, let's get started. So I have kept all of these in the order in which I did them. So this is all chronological order. I'm not sure if and when I do complete all of the postcards I'll switch around the order, but this is how I've got them so far and I really like them. In terms of mediums, if I can remember, I will tell you for each postcard what I used, but it's mostly the same sort of thing. It's pencil and then embellishments, but of course it's going to be slightly different pencils sometimes. And I also have some where there were specific points of inspiration for me or colour palette ideas and stuff, so we will get to that. I've shared detailed things about each of these in my completed pages from I think September or October 2020. I haven't done one every month since then, but I did tend to do these quite regularly. So this first one was the first one I completed, and I remember finishing this off on a live stream with you all. I think I had a bit of the colouring left, but mostly I was just adding the embellishments on the butterfly and the ladybird, and I loved doing this one. And I used my Derwent blender pens. I was really into using them, and also the Zest It blend. And I think I used Prismacolor and Polychromos mostly for everything else apart from the dress, which was Holbein, and maybe I think the cushion was Holbein as well, but I used a mixture really for this. And at this point and still now, I'm not the most confident at colouring skin, so this is really a good opportunity for me to still colour skin but do smaller areas. So I was really glad that this was a smaller area for me to practice. And again, blonde hair at the time was definitely the colour I was most comfortable doing, so that's what I stuck with, and I know I used Polychromos for that. So that was the first one, and I think it was surprising for me that I did a yellow background as well. That's not something I would have usually gone for, but I was really pleased with it. So yeah, that's what kicked this all off. So the second one was November 2020. So this one I did around my birthday and close to Halloween as well, but I don't think I finished it in time for Halloween. I could be wrong. But this one was Holbein and then Embellishments, and I just got the fine tech paints. So I use them a lot for these embellishments on the flame and on the sweets here, and the Jelly Roll glaze as well I used a lot. So it was really fun to experiment with those and add glitter and shine, things like that. I coloured the back the way I always colour them, and it's a recurring colour palette throughout. And the thing I was trying to get better at was the backgrounds, because it's something, especially how I used to colour with the Holbeins, it's still something I haven't quite nailed yet. I'm not sure if you can tell, but the gradation is, it's dark and then it kind of becomes quite light quite quickly, obviously. And I don't know whether it's just the way I was layering the pencils, but the way I do my backgrounds now, I'm much happier with them. I still really like how the colour of this one came out, but I think there are ways to get around it. If you want a smoother gradation, you just have to layer a bit more, unless you're going for that sort of effect, which is what I was going for with this postcard, which I'll get onto. But yeah, I'm so happy with it, and I like doing a darker background because it fit the Halloween night vibe. So yeah, really like this one, and I use a lot of white gel pen for embellishing as well, as you can see the stars. So that was, I have to say, when I was colouring it, that was one where there were some elements I was struggling to think of colours for. It got to doing all of the rocks here and the candle wick and trying to make sure that I wasn't adding too many colours in. So it was quite a hard one because there were loads of different elements for that. Now this one was a Chang tutorial, and I would love for her to do more tutorials in this postcard book, but I imagine the likelihood of her doing one that I've already done is pretty high now. So it was just fantastic to be able to follow along with hers. And I remember at this time not having too much time to colour, so in the morning I would just colour for 10-15 minutes before school and follow her tutorial. And for this particular one, I was after the effect like this with the background, because that's how she'd done it. And this was done with Prismacolors. So I always learn so much from Chang's tutorials. There are things that I would have never done that I really like, especially colouring the tree the way she did. And the biscuit here, I got a really rich red colour. I think I used, maybe not on that, but I definitely used a red fine liner as a base for lots of things. Like the lollipop, the ribbon, because she used a red Posca, which I didn't have, so I decided to use fine liner and it worked exactly the same. I also challenged myself and drew in these gingerbread men, which was part of the tutorial. And I did decide to add some gold embellishments on top, because I think she just uses white gel pen, and I thought, well, I'll have it match everything else that I've done so far and add embellishments as well. So such a fun one, and this is one of my favourites. I obviously can't class the colour palette and the actual concept of it as my own, but the colouring is my own. So I'm just really happy that Chang allows us to follow along with her tutorials, because as I said, I really do learn a lot. I think I used some blending pencils, but hardly any really. Most of it was just down to the layers and things. So yeah, really like that one. So then we move on to one I did in February of 2021. So moving into me having a little bit more time, because the next few obviously done during the start of lockdown, so I had a bit more time to do some. I should have written down when I did them actually. I haven't coloured every back of the postcards. I think I've sort of given up doing that because you don't see them anyway. So we'll see, I may go back and do them. Now, I was getting a bit worried when I coloured this, because I'd just done the Christmas one, and I thought the difference in vibrancy and depth is quite different. But then I thought, well, this is a spring postcard, and actually each postcard for me is different. I think this is what I really like about the postcards. You have the ability to just take it and have it as a singular postcard. Whereas with a book, especially if they're double-sided, you have a page next to a page that might be completely different and not necessarily sit right together, which is absolutely fine. But I think for me, I just really like that you can view them as their separate work. So I wasn't actually bothered. I thought, well, I want this to be a Valentine's Day postcard and have that sort of colour palette. So it doesn't matter that it doesn't look similar to the previous one. So this one was Black Widow pencils, and this was when I'd first got my Stardust paint by Fine Tech. I would highly recommend this. I love it. The great thing about it is once it's dry, it doesn't come off. So it's very different to Ink of Stella, which will still be picked up. I think if you use fixative it works, but I just much prefer the paint. And I use Jolly Royal glaze and lots of different embellishments. But the thing that I was really trying to do with this was emulate one of the Emma Bridgewater patterns, which is a company here in the UK. I'm not sure if Emma Bridgewater is anywhere else, but she does loads of lovely pottery, and I wanted to try and do the heart one because we have quite a few mugs with this heart design. So I was really trying hard to emulate it, and I'm very pleased with how it turned out. I also like the colour palette for the flowers, and I'm kicking myself because I don't think I wrote down what I used, or if I did write down what I used, actually no, I think I did. I'm hoping I did because I'd really like to do it again. I think the only thing I do differently is add more depth, so add a darker purple. And now that there are more sets, or the dragon set's been added, I do now have some other possible colours, but I really like this one and it was fun to do. I really like emulating things that we have in the house, and I actually think these two go quite well together because I coloured them at very similar times, and both with Black Widow pencils. So this was Black Widow and also the Brute Funa pencils, the square ones, because I had just got those at the time. Now what I was doing with this was, on this purple flower and the dress, I did a base of yellow. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I will be doing a tutorial at some point about how I use yellow as a base for lots of things and also a highlight colour. I really like using yellow and cream colours because it just gives a really nice highlight instead of just leaving white areas, and I use it specifically for the undertone of leaves. I've used them for water and Rita Berman's books. Purple in this instance, they're opposites, so it works quite well having the yellow underneath the purple. Any colour really, you could make it work, but there are specific occasions where I really like using yellow. So I've used my Fine Tech paints quite a bit on this, as well as using some of the Pentel Hybrid Dual Metallic pastel tones with the muted tones. This one here was the pink and green glitter, and then on the red it turned green. So this is another really pretty one, and they do go quite well together, as I said, with them being spring. I think I did this around Easter time. It would make sense because it's got the bunny and I made it sort of Eastery with the colour palette. So I think that's what I was going for. It was definitely March or April time, I think. And again, this one, I think I did this one and this one in the same month. Very unusual for me having time for two. So this was Holbein Pencils. Yeah, I think just Holbein Pencils. I also use fine liner a lot as a base. I should also mention that for generally lots of things. Now at this point I hadn't really branched out too much in the way of hair colour, but because I'd done a lot of blonde hair. I did do brown hair there, but I did think for this particular one it just suited having the yellow, blonde I should say. And I think I used pretty much the same colour equivalents, but just in the Holbein set. Now the background I drew in, all it was really was adding some cloud shapes and giving it a go. I didn't just want a straight blue background. I did try that and I just didn't really like how it it turned out. So I thought, well, I'll try to make them look like clouds. I did transparent wings. These are my favourite sort of lollipops to colour that Klara does. I love them. They remind me of lollipops you can get in France, and we used to get them all the time, and when we go I'm definitely going to look out for some because I love them. And again, I was going for a different type of dress. Usually if there's a figure to colour, I will always gravitate towards doing pink, purple or blue, and I didn't want to do that, so I thought let's try something different, do the green, and I actually was pleased that I did that because it did get me out of my comfort zone a bit. And I was trying with this to really think about the colour palette a bit more, because when I was doing the ribbons I wasn't really sure what to do. I thought, well, make it cohesive, don't add an extra colour in just for the sake of it. So the pink was to kind of go with the dress, and then also pink is close to purple. So yeah, keep them together. And then just did a darker green for the dress. So yeah, I loved doing that one. So I can't remember which month I did this one, but this was sort of an inspiration from a colour palette from my colour palette book, and I definitely know it was around June, July time, I think, in 2021. So I'm sure in my completed pages I've shown the colour palette. I think I definitely did. But this was all Prismacolor. I was challenging myself just to use one set. Really pleased I did, because I used some colours that I wouldn't normally use. And I was inspired obviously by Tinkerbell to do this fairy. So I did her bright green dress, which again I was pleased about because I don't usually do colours like that, but since I was copying her character colour I thought it would work well. And also I was trying more of a beige tanned skin tone, so I used different colours in the Prismacolor set. And I also was trying to add a cake effect with some fine liners and do little pointillism dots to make it look like cake. And my idea for this, I'm not sure if you can see, but these sweets here, I was trying to take inspiration from a book that I loved when I was younger. It was My Naughty Little Sister, and there was a chapter where her and her friend had taken a trifle from her was it her? I think it was her friend's birthday party, and they'd eaten it. And I remember them talking about the jelly sweets that they ate, and they were red, yellow and green. So I thought that would be just a really nostalgic thing to include in this. So I did red, yellow and green, and if I hadn't thought of that, I definitely wouldn't have done those colours. So I was really chuffed that I managed to remember that, and again keep it cohesive with the red and the pink quite similar, and then the yellow with the sand colour of the cake and the greens. So yeah, I love doing that one. Again, quite a few embellishments. And the bottom line is I really enjoyed doing every single one of these postcards, and once I get in them I'm really engrossed in doing them, and because they are a smaller project I get to focus more on just a smaller space. Then we come to this one. Now I know this was June 2021, so this must have been earlier. Now this one was one I did in Devon. Sorry about that. So I was inspired by Ali from Enchanted Colours for this one, and it was the colour of the unicorn that I was trying to replicate. So I did mention this in my vlog, my Devon vlog for June, and I was using lots of colours, lots of pastel colours to create the body. And again, this is something that I would not have done. I think if I hadn't seen her picture, I would have done a pink or a blue unicorn or grey. And I'm really pleased that I saw her picture because I thought it was absolutely beautiful and I wanted to try something different. And that then allowed me to use those colours to figure out the rest of the colour palette. So I took the green, obviously did the green for the berry leaves and the grass. The pink I did for the berries, the purple I did for the mushrooms and the flowers, and the background sort of pulled it all together. So the background was also inspired by a picture that I saw. I think I just typed in magical background online and found something, and I wanted to do translucent wings to still bring the background through. And overall I think this one for me, I was just pleased with how the colour palette came together. I think the only thing I would change really is I do think that the grass is a little bit bright. I think I should have done an olive green like the leaves, but it is a magical page, and I think doing slightly psychedelic, brighter colours does work with the overall colour palette. I really like the butterflies, doing them. I did those see-through, so the bit that's blue purple is meant to be the see-through bit with the glitter on, and then the pink and green is the other part of the butterfly wing. So yeah, that was a really sweet one that I did, and that has memories for me because that was when I just finished my GCSE year, so I actually had a lot more time to colour. Now this one, I have a feeling I started in Devon, but in August, and I'd had a bit of a like a couple of months break. This was the only postcard probably so far that did take me a bit of time to get into, and the reason being was I started this with castle art pencils and really did not like how it's coming out. I chose the wrong purple and I just left it for a bit, and I was like, oh no, I need to come back to it because I'm really motivated to try and finish this collection. So I came back, I just got a few open stock luminants at the time, and I thought, well, let's use one of these, see where we go from here. And I'd seen these, and I can't remember what they are called, Grape Hyacinth, I think. So I had seen online I wanted to do the purple fading into a green white colour. So that's what I tried to do, and it did take me a while to get back into it, but I was really pleased that I did, because once I'd finished those and once I'd used the reference photo, I managed to finish everything else off. And I think I did finish it with castle art pencils. I really liked the brown for the house, and I remember using castle art for this. I used my Derwent blenders a lot. And I only had a few embellishments with me at the time, so I think I just stuck to a Jelly Roll Glaze, Jelly Roll Metallic and Jelly Roll Clear glitter gel pen, and then I wanted to add some white gel pen dust on here to make it look like the butterfly was about to fly away. So yeah, probably not one of my best in terms of a cohesive colour palette, but I really enjoyed doing it. And another one with a yellow background. When I finished it, I realised that it actually looked quite similar to this one in terms of the colour palette that I used, so they would probably look quite good together as a set of two. But yeah, I think on its own I like it as well. So, and I'm glad that the purple is the main bit. So that's that one. Then we come to this one. Now I did mention in a recent video, I can't remember, oh, it was the Halloween video that I did for Jen's hashtag. I mentioned this is one of my favourite Halloween pictures that I've done, and I think it's actually one of my favourite Klara postcards that I've done as well, because I was trying a lot of new things out here, and I've said before, Halloween and autumn colour palettes are ones that I haven't really done as many of. So using oranges and things like that, I don't use them enough really, because aside from these pictures I don't really use orange too much. So this was a really good one to just get out of my comfort zone a bit. I did her skin tone again, quite a beige tanned colour, and I used the Kohinoor polycolour pencils. I have a 24 set, a portrait set, and I used them a lot for things that weren't even the skin and hair. So I used them for the dress with a couple of, I want to say that was luminants. I used luminants for the leaves, Black Widow for the background because I just coloured a background in my Resida Europa using the colours, so I did a tutorial. This orange was completely out of my comfort zone, and I actually really like it on this picture. I can't remember what they're called, but they are, I think they're like berries, and I can't remember what they're called, but I did mention it in my completed pages, I know that. And yeah, then I added lots of embellishments, and again I coloured the back the same way. The thing I was trying out on the hat was using an undertone of purple and blue so that it wasn't just grey as an undertone. I have done that in the past, and I just never really like how the hats turn out because it's just black and grey with no other colour. So I thought, well, let's add some of that in and see if it works. So yeah, overall just a really fun one, and I especially like doing her dress. Different colour for me. Again, I probably would have gone for something like purple because I would have gone for either purple, purple, green or orange, because for me they're kind of Halloween colours. And I kind of guess I did go for green and orange, but it's more of a brown with a pink undertone. So yeah, another really fun one. And I didn't use too many different pencils for this one. I pulled lots that I'd used. So that was that one. I then had a little bit of a break again, came to this one end of December into New Year, I think, of 2022. So this is coming into the ones that I've done this year. This was Holbein, and again the polycolours. I used the polycolours for the skin, the dress, any of the red basically, and then yeah, Holbein's. So I wanted to do another magical background. I did search it up and kind of go with what I saw, and added Posca and what gel pen dots and things like that all over the background, which was so fun. The thing I was wary of, which is something that I'm still trying to combat with some of my pages, is when I've got snow in the background, I've also got fairy elements on the clothing. So I did have to add lots of shadowing in and kind of just add fine liners and things like that to still make the bottom of the dress pop slightly. It's not really showing up great on camera, but I did add lots of shadowing because otherwise it would have just been white on white and it wouldn't have worked. So that was quite difficult. The other thing that I was left with at the end, which I really wasn't sure about, were the wings. I was going to go for a pink, but I thought that would blend in too much with the background that we've already got going and the red. And I was just really stumped, and I did have the idea to do this green, but I thought, well, is it going to look too bright? And in the end I decided to do it, but just very lightly, and then put the stardust over the top. So it's a very light mint sort of colour taken from the holly, and I am pleased with that, and hopefully they don't take away from the other colours too much. But again, a very fun one to do. I just love doing all of these, and I think the only thing potentially with this that I would change is the only place where there's yellow is in the background, and the only place where there's a proper like bluish purple colour is in the background. So maybe trying to bring a bit more of the yellow in, but to be honest I don't really know where I would have brought it in. So it's quite nice that the background's sort of separate from her so that she stands out a bit more. So that's that one. Then we have this one, which was part of the winter set of postcards, but I decided to do it for Valentine's Day. So this one was Holbein and Castle Art. Holbein for the background and the snow, and then Castle Art for pretty much everything else. The thing that was really that I was really struggling with at the beginning of this was what colours to do the gingerbread, because I had a colour palette that I used to do so much with the Crayolas, and I could not remember for the life of me what pencils I used and how to get that effect. So I decided, rather than worrying about that, try and use the Castle Art pencils and see what you can come up with. And so I did, and I was pleased with the colour. And then I was getting a bit stuck because with her dress I didn't have to worry about the clothing for him, but for the dress I didn't want it to be too different because I still wanted it to give off the feeling of gingerbread. So I decided to just do a pink undertone with the brown on top, and use the brown in other places as well, so it wasn't just them. And I think the only thing that I would probably change is the brightness of the green. But I did use the green in quite a few places, so it still doesn't feel out of place, but it is quite bright compared to everything else. And one technique that I was trying out is the fur on the hat. So every time I've done fur previously, I've always left it really white, just done a bit of shading with a grey or a blue, and then gone over with the white gel pen, and the white gel pen covers up all of the shading, so you end up with white on white. So I decided just burnish with blue and purple underneath, and then go in with the, I think it was a equivalent to a Posca pen, and go over it, so you still end up with the blue and the purple as an undertone underneath, which I quite like, and I've been doing that a lot with things recently. So that was a cool technique that I was trying out, and there was a lot of white gel pen on this, so yeah, that was a really sweet one. And I didn't think I'd get to that one, So it's nice that I was able to. Now these two do sit quite well together. Obviously they're different themes, but the colour palette's quite similar. This was actually done with all luminance though, so completely different pencils, but actually quite a similar result. So I was challenging myself to just use all luminance. I didn't have many at the time. I think I had 40 or 50 of them. I still don't have all of them, but I've gradually added a few more colours. So there were things that I had to create colours for myself to be able to do it. So the bird was the first thing I did, and this was one that I left for a while as well. I did the bird, really happy with it, and then it took me a while to get back into it. But I think just keeping it limited to one set really helped. So the flowers, I believe most of this I've written down the colour palettes for, if you're interested in one of my colour combinations videos. And that goes for pretty much all of the 2022 ones actually. But there was a lot of brown with this, and I think that's maybe the only thing I would have reconsidered how I would have distributed the brown, because I needed brown for the wood, the tea or the coffee and the cake, but maybe for the house I could have done a different colour. But yeah, it was a really sweet one, and I used the glitter paint, the Stardust glitter paint from the Art Spirits, and it's very, very glittery, probably more glittery than the Klara one, and I really like it, and I've been using it a lot. So quite a few embellishments on this one. This was also inspired by Emma Bridgewater, a different pattern. It was an autumn berry, I think it was a jug, and so I did similar colours for that. I think I followed a tutorial from Chang but used the luminance instead of the Prismacolor, and yeah, really fun. The only thing with this was the green that I chose for the leaves. I didn't really have a good range of greens. I had a good olive range of colours, but different greens, I just think maybe it was one step too far adding another green into the mix, but I didn't want to just keep it to one because I'd already used green for the background. So it's quite difficult to do that and stick to just that set, but it's good to challenge myself sometimes. And if you are ever in a bit of a rut with colouring, I think if you are someone like me who uses lots of different pencils on one piece, maybe just limit yourself and see how you go with that. So then we've got this one, left it a couple of months. I think this was, we're in August, so this must have been May. Yeah, I think it was. Now this was all Prismacolor, so I was just trying to use one set. The background was probably my favourite thing. It took quite a lot of layers though, and then I used the Derwent blender, and I have never done these sort of star things before. I'm definitely going to be doing them a lot more, and again I used the Art Spirit Stardust paint, and yeah, just Prismacolor, so it challenged me to use colours I wouldn't normally use. The Sandbar Brown, for example, I used a lot of bronze colours for the hat, and I was making this look like one of the dwarfs from Snow White, and I can't remember which one it was. It might have been Dopey, because the orange again was something I wouldn't have normally used, and I was pleased that I did that. And then it was just a matter of trying to pull the colours all together. I wanted the mushroom to be quite a neutral colour. I liked that, and then have a bit of a brighter colour to go alongside it with the feather and the berries. So this was, I think, part of the summer set, so I still wanted to do it, but I like that I did a more of a nighttime scene, and I had the opportunity to do a night background without it looking the same as this, because this is quite a different colour and quite a different style. So this is what I mean about sort of having more of a gradual gradiated background rather than just sort of dark to light. So I definitely think the Derwent blenders have helped with that. That was one that didn't take very long, and I did the same effect with his beard. I did grey as an undertone and then the white on top. This was from last month. This was for Christmas in July, and I do have more Halloween and winter pictures left out of the 16 I have left, because I just don't get around to as many of them. So the opportunity for me to be able to do one now was really good. I was glad that I managed to, because otherwise I would have had more left. So this was on my recent July completed pages, so I won't talk about it too much because you probably seen it, but this was with the Black Edition Faber-Castell pencils, and it was before I recently, no, was it before? I think it was after I just got the 50 set very kindly from Sue, and I love them. They are amazing. I also used a few of the Polycolour pencils because I used them for his skin. I was very proud of myself trying out a darker skin tone, because I, in general, as I said, aren't very good with skin tone, but the portrait set did allow me to have really good tones for it, and it's a great set. It's got lots of variations in colour, so it's a good starter set for me to just have a limited amount of colours and see what I can do. So I was really pleased with that, and then decided to use the brown also on the mouse, but use pink as an undertone and change it slightly, and I think I added an ochre colour. And the cohesive colours was a little bit tricky for this. I think it doesn't look quite cohesive altogether, but I don't mind that. I still had fun doing it, and the background was really fun for me to do. I drew in a sun, used some of the muted colours. I didn't want it to just be a blue background, and equally I was trying not to make the snow just blue, so I added the pink and the purple, and then lots of embellishments on top. So yeah, that was my Christmas in July picture. I think the nice thing about keeping all of these in order is that I can tell which ones were done when. If I put them back into the order that they were originally in when I complete it, I might forget. So it is really nice having them like this. And then my last one I actually haven't shared yet because I have completed it in August. So you will be seeing this in my August completed pages as well. So I won't spend too long on it, but it's this one. So the Halloween hashtag that that Jen hosted, the Summer Halloween, I really wanted to do this one, and I didn't have an opportunity to complete it in time for the 5th, but I thought I would do it anyway, seeing as it was on my to-do list for pages, and I loved it. I loved doing it. It didn't take me very long at all. The thing that took the longest was the background, because I did loads of layers, and I was using the Black Widow pencils exclusively with this, along with some fine liners and embellishments. So yeah, the background is what took the majority of the time, with all the layering. I didn't use any blender pencil, I just burnished with the pencils. And then did the same effect with the hat, except I did pink and blue this time. I got a much darker colour, I think, because I didn't use the blender pencils. And yeah, then just again tried to distribute all of the colours. I added some white gel pen and lots of different embellishments, including again the paint from the Art Spirits. And I was adding some star sign constellations in the background as well. That's Scorpio, and I think this was the beginning of Taurus, but I didn't have enough room. So yeah, so much fun. Really enjoyed doing that one. So I'm very pleased that I managed to do that, because that is now it now marks the halfway point for me. So I have done these videos before. I did one for World of Flowers. Haven't ended up continuing with it just because that was 3 years ago, and obviously my colouring style and my preferences have changed a lot. So this is sort of a video saying here's halfway. I'm really optimistic and motivated now to complete this. It might take me another 2 years, probably will, maybe even longer, because I'm not going to have that much time this year. But this video sort of stands at, if you never see this completed, you've seen it half completed. But there's nothing that's come up so far where I absolutely hate it and it's really turning me away from finishing this. And the other good thing about them being postcards is if there is one that I really don't like, I can always just take it out. You can obviously do that with a book and just tear the page out, but there's still that slight niggle that, oh, there was a page there that went wrong and I took it out. So yeah, I would love to finish this. I've tried to keep some of the ones I really like back as well for me to be able to do. I'd love to do that one around my birthday because it's kind of giving birthday vibes, but then it's a spring picture, so maybe not. My favourite one is the cupcake, and I'm quite nervous to do that one because I really like it. There's quite a lot with strawberries left. I like colouring strawberries, but they take quite a while, so I may need to get one of those ticked off quite quickly. And which one do I also really like? Oh, the tree. I love that one. Nervous about doing that one as well because I like colouring Christmas trees, but I just want to make sure I get it right. There's quite a few detailed ones left. Things like this are quite detailed, but at least it's a smaller space. I'll probably do that one around Valentine's Day again if I have a chance. So yeah, there's lots to look forward to, and hopefully I will get a chance to at least colour a few heading into 2023 and the end of this year. But yeah, that's everything. I really hope you've enjoyed this. I apologise for it being such a long video, but I thought, you know, just sharing all of them one after the other would be fun to do because you've seen them month by month as I've done them in my completed pages, but it's nice to just put it all together. So that is my 50% completed flip through of I Believe in Fairies by Klara Markova. So I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. This will probably be going up when I'm away in France. So I know I'm slow at getting back to comments and stuff anyway, but if I'm slower than usual or I don't get back to your questions immediately, I'm very sorry about that, but I'll do my best. Yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. Everything's down below as usual, and I will see you all in my next video. Take care, everyone. Bye.